There is something that is going to happen in this world, something which has the capacity to change the way the world works, something that is going to change your life and my life forever. I'm going to talk about that huge change in this video. This change that is going to happen, an example, it could be as profound as what the pandemic has done to us. The pandemic was good for some people actually. Some people, they had some technology which actually helped during the pandemic times and their business boomed. Some people started cloud kitchen. Some people, there are so many people who did certain things. So even something of the magnitude, it was a negative event, but the magnitude was positive in many people's lives. Many people became content creators during the pandemic time, but it also altered many people's lives negatively. Many people had lost their businesses, many people's jobs have gone, many people's jobs have shrunk, their salaries were reduced, and many people have to migrate from one place to the other or go back to their homes. It also impacted some people in a very negative way. So whatever I'm going to talk about also has that capacity to change human lives in a very big way. So I'm talking about this planet called Pluto. You believe it or not, Pluto is the most powerful planet in the universe. I'm going to talk about the magnitude of this planet. The planet is ruled by, if I'm going to give a deity, the Indian deity to the planet Pluto, it is Lord Shiva. Shiva is called as the destroyer. Okay, but the point is we need to understand why does Shiva destroys to recreate. So Pluto is a planet which creates all the cycles, the business cycles, the economic cycles, and whatever comes and goes, everything is ruled by Pluto. And every time Pluto goes into a new zodiac sign, there is this huge change that happens and it transforms the world in a big way. Pluto, when it enters into a zodiac sign, it creates something really fabulous. It is called as the eagle patch of the Pluto. Whatever event happens, but by the end of it all, it's going to be positive. So for example, when Pluto entered into Gemini in the early part of the century, so that was a time when we had the inventions which were all connected to communication, because Gemini is all about communications. Everything to do with television, even aeroplane, everything that has got to do with communication and movement happened during the Pluto in Gemini time. But Pluto also goes into another path, which is called as the grey lizard path, and that is exactly what we're going to discuss in this video. And whenever it enters into the grey lizard avatar, the degrees of stay in a zodiac sign is between 8 degrees to around 16 degrees. So that is the time Pluto is considered to be in the grey lizard avatar. And whenever Pluto goes into a grey lizard avatar, it really creates some huge destructions around the world. So now what happens is Shiva is in a very angry avatar. He is in this Rudra Dandav avatar. He becomes extremely ferocious and he unleashes a lot of things in this world which can be very, very troublesome. To give you some examples, when Pluto entered into Gemini in 1914, somewhere around that time, that was the time when Pluto went into grey lizard, and between that time, 1914 to between 1720, so that was the time when Pluto was in grey lizard, and that was the time when the World War I happened. And if you go back into history and see, you will see it happened because of a miscommunication. The entire World War, if you actually Google, you will see that it happened because of miscommunication. Nobody knew what they are doing. Someone is fighting for someone else because somebody else is his friend, or there is a chaos, confusion. The entire World War I, if the history, you would see that it happened because of some miscommunication, because Gemini is a zodiac sign of communication, and whatever happened was a miscommunication, and that led to the wars. And now Pluto entered into Cancer in somewhere in the late 30s and the early 40s, and that is when the World War II happened. Now Cancer is a zodiac sign which rules what? It rules the land, the property, food, real estate. And why did the World War? And also it also indicates your birth, who you are, your identity of a person from your birth is indicated by Cancer, the zodiac sign Cancer. And when Pluto went into the grey lizard avatar in Cancer, it created the bloodiest war in the world human history, and which uprooted people and their families and their homes. And the entire World War II, you remember, that it happened because of one man thinking that, there is one race by birth, they are not right and they should be destroyed. So all the wars happened because of that, and so many countries were carved out, so many people were left homeless, so many, all this, partition and so many other events that happened which really, threw you out of your homes. So that all happened when Pluto was in Cancer in the grey lizard avatar. So I can keep talking every time. So when Pluto went into Libra, so many, there was lawlessness everywhere. We're talking about people doing activities which were atrocious. Everything from Chernobyl. So even a Bhopal gas disaster happened, or it can be even the assassination of Indira Gandhi or Operation Blue blue star. All of them happened because somebody is not following the rules and regulations. So it is all about the rules and regulations and the law. In fact, even the HIV virus, the AIDS, happened during this time because Pluto is a zodiac sign which rules love, and this virus was the virus which was coming out of love. If I'm going to talk about the latest grey lizard patch, it happened in 2008. So that was the time when Pluto was in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a zodiac sign which is known for its carelessness, which is known for it's okay, everything is going to be fine. So what happened? See, there were so many reasons, but if I'm going to give us a very simple reason why this economic crisis happened in 2008 is that the banks became very careless. They said it's okay, it's fine, do anything, whatever you want, it's fine, we're not going to follow the rules and regulations. Do. Okay, they were very careless, and this carelessness of the banks led to this huge economic crisis. So there will be some sort of the negative side of the zodiac sign becomes magnified, and that leads to a chain of events which will lead to troubles and problems and issues in the world. That is exactly what can happen even this time around. So this time around, the planet Pluto is in Capricorn, and it is going to do certain things. I'm going to discuss every possibility of what can happen when Pluto is going to be in Capricorn, and it's not going to be something which is easy. Okay, now what will Pluto individually do to you or to me? Okay, see, the Pluto will be transiting into different houses in our horoscopes. So individually it can impact you in a different way, it will impact me in a different way. Like the pandemic happened, it created so many different things to so many different people. So individually what it will do, we'll be discussing that in a different video, in a series of videos. In fact, what if you are from India, then what can happen to the Indians? What are those various things this planet can create for the Indians? I'm going to be discussing that in a different video. But I'm going to be now talking about in this video only about what are those various troubles this grey lizard Pluto can cause. So what are those exact challenges which are going to happen when Pluto is going to go into the grey lizard avatar in Capricorn? So all those negative characteristics of the zodiac sign Capricorn will play out in the world. So what are those negative traits of Capricorn? Capricorns are very, very bothered about their career. We'll talk about that. It's a very important aspect. And Capricorns can be a little selfish, self-oriented. Capricorns are traditional. They believe that their religion, their tradition, their culture, their nationality, that is the best, and they always stick by that. And Capricorns want to reach the top position irrespective of what is happening to others. So they can plan, plot and scheme to reach the top. And Capricorns, whenever they go into some sort of a mood swing, when things are not going right, they can even get into depression. So these are the characteristics of what the world will go through in the next 5-6 years. In the next 5 years till the end of the decade. So how will it play out? So some world leader or the other, it will not be one person, there could be multiple leaders getting together and doing certain things. So the first important thing is that, if you look around the world, you'll see that most of the major countries, it can be India, China, Russia, and even right now, United States and Argentina, many countries are ruled by parties which have a right-wing inclination. So which means all of those parties, political parties which are there in the top, they are going to be promoting their own culture. There is nothing wrong in that, right? So in their own country, there is their own tradition, their own religion, their own philosophies, and they will say that their country is the best. So till that time, till you say that, it is good. Okay, you say, okay, my country is the best and let's reach our old glory. Okay, good, go for it, that is fantastic. But what will be a problem is when these countries also start looking at, okay, so I am the best, but then I will also ensure that you are not going to become bigger than me. So that can create a lot of troubles. And we are already seeing a lot of border skirmishes across the world. If you look at the entire map of the world, you will see, it can be from China, Taiwan to India, Pakistan to can be Mexico, United States to Russia, Ukraine, Gaza. So it's like there are so many skirmishes happening around the world. And during the grey lizard patch, I'm only expecting this to become even more stronger. The tensions across the borders is only going to flare up bigger, and that is actually not good news for the world, right? So it is going to really become some tensions, worries. We are only seeing the Gaza, Palestine, Israel problems happening, but then it can become even bigger. It can escalate into something which is larger. I'm not saying that I'm expecting a world war, okay? We're expecting a World War III, maybe, it may not go to that level, but there would be a lot of things that is happening, constant skirmishes, fights, and which can lead to some sort of troubles. And I wouldn't be even surprised if it goes on to be World War III, because the world wars have already happened during the Pluto in Gemini, Pluto in Cancer, And Pluto in Capricorn, I mean, it can create that kind of a thing. The American War of Independence happened during the last time when Pluto was in Capricorn, and that was a completely huge event which created a new country. And of course, so many millions of people died and so many things happened. So people will die. So many people are going to die. Millions of people are going to die. These political leaders will bring in those kind of situations where people will die because they want to sort of quench their thirst to reach the top position. So there is a typical Capricornian need to reach the top position, and then all of these things will happen. So what that will lead to is obviously the biggest thing. See, I am worried about, like a common man, you and me, I am worried about my money. Right? And most of my money is invested in equity, stock market, because I feel that, that is the best way to grow your money. So other than whatever you do as a job, as a profession, if you have to have an alternate income, then you need to invest in the stock markets. So if you're going to be using the word depression, if you're going to associate the word depression with the zodiac sign Capricorn, now my big worry is this, okay, is that because of so many things happening around the world, so many wars, so many, leaders trying to do this one-upmanship over the others, it can lead to some sort of a market. First of all, there is a possibility of a huge market crash happening during the Grey Lizard patch. So when is that Grey Lizard patch going to start? I'm going to tell you that very soon. During the beginning of the Grey Lizard patch, because the Grey Lizard patch also coincides with the Uranus getting debilitated. So Uranus will get debilitated, Pluto is going to go into Grey Lizard, and this will lead to a huge market crash during the beginning of the Grey Lizard patch. That is what normally happens, because even if in 2008, there was a beginning and that is when it happened. Then in the last economic recession, it took about 4-5 years for the markets to stabilize. So something like that can happen during this economic cycle also, and that could be huge because it can be a massive, it's not going to be a correction, it's going to be a huge crash. That is the word we can use, crash. We just saw, just Uranus got debilitated and we are seeing so many falls happening. But if Pluto also goes into Grey Lizard, I really shudder thinking, what will happen. So it can be a huge crash, and because of all of these things happening around the globe, the border tensions will increase, and it will reach a crescendo where, something will go wrong, and if it leads to series of wars, countries fighting against each other, then we are looking at a situation where there can be a huge market crash, and then the market crash will lead to a bear market. Because what happens in an economic cycle, the planet Pluto, when it gets into the eagle avatar, so there is a huge push, so the markets go up, and then the Grey Lizard will crash it, okay, and then after the crash, it will once again go up, and then during the final patch, which is the Scorpion patch, that is when it peaks. So which means after the crash, there will be a growth phase which will happen after some time, probably during the end of the Grey Lizard patch, which will be a little later, 2027-28. Maybe, 2027-28 is also the time when all the asteroids, the 4 asteroids, Chiron, planet X, Y, and Z, all of them are becoming stronger. So the forces will lead to an improvement in the markets later. But there is going to be a crash, and probably there could be a lull in the markets for some time. There could be a plateau, for some time. The markets are not growing. You would see that in the last economic cycle, a company like Reliance, it didn't grow at all. Anyone invested in Reliance between 2008 to 2014 didn't make any money. So that kind of a situation can happen with many organizations, and only a few organizations will do well probably during that time. Yeah, so I do have a financial astrology course, where I'll be focusing on all those industries, companies which will do well, okay, and all my students would know that. I would also put up some videos on that. But yes, it's going to be very, very difficult for people, especially for the stock markets and equity markets during this time. You will have to invest your money very carefully, because there is always a possibility that you can lose a lot of your money. That is the big worry that I have. Another possibility of the Grey Lizard impacting the world is, we had a pandemic that happened in 2020. So that was the time when Pluto entered into Capricorn. Just imagine, see, Capricorn is a zodiac sign which makes you stay with your family. The world was actually running around during the Sagittarius time, when Pluto was in Sagittarius. People were carefree. There were, people were like having destination weddings. People were moving around the world, and the entire system of the family was disintegrating. But Pluto came in and created the pandemic and ensured that, and in Capricorn, because Capricorn is all about the family, and it ensured that everyone is with their family. So that was the first thing it did. One thought which I have is that, see, it only after the event happens, we know what the universe has planned. We can't exactly pinpoint and say that this is the event that is going to happen. But I'm talking about the key words which will, crystallize into something. So one of the big things which can happen, which can actually once again make you go back to your roots and family and sit down with your family, could be, like there could be religious or spiritual fights, that can happen. That is something that you always dread about, okay? And also one more important thing is that, there can also be another, set of series of diseases if it happens, because Capricorn is a zodiac sign which loves to be in isolation. They stay within themselves, within their family. So if there is going to be another situation of another kind of a pandemic or a disease, some sort of a disease, I wouldn't be surprised. Even that possibility is there. That is the outside possibility, but still that possibility does exist. Alright, one important thing that planet Pluto is going to do is, the planet Pluto is the natural ruler of the zodiac sign Capricorn, and Capricorn is the 10th zodiac sign, and 10th house is all about the career. So very, very important thing that Pluto in Capricorn, and especially in Grey Lizard, that is going to do is it is going to impact your career, your and my career. So how will it impact? The first thing that we all already know that the AI is child of Neptune. Neptune means intelligence and super intelligence, and Neptune is the planet which rules that, and that is in a very, very powerful position right now, and it is going to be very, very strong till 2036-37. So Neptune or artificial intelligence is only going to grow. And what is it going to do? And it's already doing. We all know that it is killing jobs, and we already are seeing the trend. This trend has been there since quite some time, but now after the pandemic it has become more and more stronger. There is no 9-to-5 job. Your 9-to-5 job cannot give you the security. There is no guarantee that you will have this job forever. And everyone these days have realized the fact that you have to become a personal brand. You'll have to brand yourself, and you have to become a personal brand by yourself. And probably we all will be having gigs. We'll be doing individual gigs for various organizations. Probably that would become the trend going forward, and this entire 9-to-5 structure is going to be broken down. It will become a bigger reality when Pluto enters into Aquarius. But then the beginning of the crashing down of the typical corporate job will happen during the Pluto in the Capricorn, the 10th zodiac sign, the 10th house zodiac sign, which rules actually the corporate job. So what does it mean? Many people will lose jobs. Millions of people are going to lose jobs. So this is a real important warning for all of us that, we all need to upskill ourselves and ensure that, we are not restricted by one job because we have only one skill, and we need to do a lot of other things, multitask, probably learn many things so that we become indispensable. Or if we are, sacked off from a particular job, you can always have something else. And most importantly, build your personal brand. That is the most important thing. Become a 9-to-5 quitter and build your own personal brand. That is the way to go, because Pluto during the Grey Lizard patch will fasten that very, very strongly. Alright, there will also be a lot of positives that will come out of the planet Pluto in Grey Lizard. Okay, one of the major things that will happen is everything to do with engineering. See, this Pluto rules one word, the re. The word, or the letters is re. Re-engineering, engineering, redevelopment, resurrection, So everything which is re will happen. The construction, whatever, the demolition of old structures and new things coming up, all of those things will happen. So if you are a person who is heavily into technical stuff, heavily into engineering, heavy engineering, metals and power and all of those industries will really do well. If there is going to be a war, and if a city is torn by war, then obviously you need certain people to go and rebuild that city, right? So rebuilding, re-engineering, and also if you're going to talk about everyone, all of those people who are connected to any kind of connected to any informal structure. Like, for example, if you're talking about, alternate set of medicines. See, the Pluto in Grey Lizard indicates magic. Pluto in Grey Lizard indicates spirituality. So all of those things which are connected with spirituality, alternate sciences, healing, so astrology, tarot, all of those alternate methodologies of doing things. It can be Unani, Ayurveda, yoga. So all of these things will flourish. They will do well, because there is no typical way of doing things. There can be some alternatives to do things, and these people, if you're experts on these people, you're going to do really well, because these are industries which will flourish during the Grey Lizard time. And if you're a worker who is connected with, all those, materials connected with re-engineering of things. See, even during the World War kind of a situation, there will be certain industries which will do well, right? There can be arms and ammunitions. So America is one country which specializes in supplying arms and ammunitions across the globe. So probably that is one industry which is going to do well. And especially with Donald Trump as the president, it's going to happen. So there will be certain certain industries which will definitely do well, and we need to figure them out. And which kind of movies will do well? I'll tell you what, I mean, if you look into the past, whenever Pluto has gone into grey lizard, some movies which have some amazing themes which is based on reincarnation, magic, or mystery, or fighting against some extraordinary odds and winning, those kind of movies have done well. It can be a Sholay, it can be a Titanic, it can be a Vertigo. Those kind of movies really do well. So, to all the creators there, I would say that, focus on alternate themes, focus on magic, focus on something which is very innovative, something which is very mystical, mysterious, so those kind of things is all connected to grey lizard, and they will all do well. Mughal-e-Azam, Diwar, these are all some movies. So some family feud, something which is connected with, troubles within the family, everything which has got to do with family saga, okay, even those kind of movies can do well. And so if you're doing any kind of a business or any kind of an activity which is connected to all of these things, even if you're an individual creator or an individual person giving services to all of these kind of, alternate professions which I talked about, then you're going to be doing well. So when does this grey lizard patch start? The big question. Grey lizard patch will start somewhere in March 2025 and it will be there till July. So March to July, so those 5-6 months are going to be tough. Then again, it will retrograde back into the non-grey lizard patch. Then finally, it will come back again December 2025, and then it will remain almost till the end of 2029, and somewhere also in 2030, few months. So I would say if the impact is supposed to be felt, whatever I talked about, the major market crash happening, all of that can happen somewhere around March, Feb. You need to be very, very cautious from February. I would be cautious even from the beginning of the year 2025, but March to May, June, July is the most fertile time, because that is also the time when Uranus is getting debilitated. So during that time, anything can happen. If it doesn't happen, you will see some tremors there. If it doesn't happen, then by the end of 2025, or if it doesn't happen by that time, then 26, anytime it can really happen and the market can crash. So wait for the crash to happen. Wait for it to sort of, when you feel that, okay, this is the point where it has crashed completely. See, there is a huge opportunity here. Okay. All the people, see, whenever there is going to be a calamity, all of those smart people are the ones who really make the best use of the opportunity, right? So the biggest investor in the world, Warren Buffett, is sitting on billions and billions of cash. Probably he knows that there is this crash that is coming. That is the reason he's sitting on cash. So when the market crashes, all the smart people make merry, right? So you'll have to time it in such a way by which when you feel that this is the bottom and it can't go beyond this, or if it is sufficiently corrected, it is not going to be a correction, it will be a crash. And after it has happened sufficiently, I think that, that would be the time when you go back into the market and reinvest and then watch your money grow. So best wishes to you people for tiding over this grey lizard patch. Prepare, be ready, and tide over it. If you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please do subscribe, so that I'm going to be putting a lot of series of videos on this and help you as to how do you tide over the grey lizard patch and all the other important parts of our lives. Take care.